All right, welcome everyone. This is a Viper Professional Training Support webinar. Today's date is January 5th, 2019. This is a Saturday morning webinar, and the title of today's webinar is KissTrades Are a Great Way to Trade. And as everyone knows that's been to our webinars or our live trading room, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, Forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk. Therefore, there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital, and that is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this webinar. Other webinars we have, our live trading room or anything else with Viper Trading Systems, should ever be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. Any questions on the disclaimer? All right, if not, we're going to go ahead and get started. Now, I usually ask, what direction the trend is and things like that on this first chart. We're going to dispense with that today, but I think you can pretty clearly see that it's up, right? Okay, so what you're going to want to do on your charts, how many of you, real quick, just a show of hands, how many of you on a daily basis on every chart that you trade draw lines on your charts? Good, good. A lot of people are typing in yes, 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 absolutely all the time. Okay, that is extremely important because that's really what KissTrades are all about. Okay, it's as simple as thinking about support and resistance, but on Lightning 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, because there are KissTrades on Lightning 1, there are KissTrades on Lightning 2. There are KissTrades on Lightning 3 and on Lightning 4. Now, Lightning 4, I don't pay as much attention to as just that's really a good overall trend. Okay, that's your highest, available trend, but you're not trading Lightning 4. Let's see, I try, but even after 5 years, would not say that I'm proficient. That's all right. But one thing about it, by seeing that typed in, I know you're quite profitable though, so you're doing correctly. All right, but drawing on your charts is important. Okay, now looking at this chart right here, and based on what I teach all the time, and bear with me a second, I'll see if I've got that somewhere on my desktop. I do. Let's go ahead and pull it up. And let me get the question log back because I had to move that out of the way to get to it. All right. So when you look at Lightning 3, to give an example, and that's what we're looking at on that last chart right there, you do realize that there's a difference in identified swings with this chart, and this chart. Okay, let's say these are exactly the same prices because they are. This is actually, basically what I did is I took a chart and I drew the Lightning 2, I drew the Lightning 1, and then I drew the Lightning 3, and then I just basically superimposed them on this to make it, kind of a chart. Lightning is the key to success in trading. Okay, because what you're looking at always is your identified swings. Okay, your identified swing on this chart, low, high, higher, low, but only higher, low, because it took out this high. And it's the same thing over here. Low, high, higher, low, higher, high, right? Identifies that swing. Same thing here. Let's start right here. High, low, higher, high, because it took out this swing and identified that as your low. That's your low, also, obviously also, because it was identified too. See it? Okay, so that's important when you're talking about drawing your lines and KissTrades on your chart. So let's go back to that other chart real quick because it's a live chart. Obviously, there's no trading today, but this is an actual live chart. Okay, and let's just look it over. Now, this actually drew, I've had this running since before I started the webinar because I'm running it in live time. Is this a trend change? Is this a trend change from up to down as of yet? Absolutely not, right? So if you were looking at the actual chart, what would this more than likely be? What do you think? More than likely what? A phantom? Possibly? Something like that? Yeah, you'd be looking for longs, right? But now what you've got to do is you've got to actually draw your lines on your chart. Okay, now we're going to do lightning 3 first, and then we're going to chisel it down to lightning 2, and that's probably as far as I'll be able to get today because I want to really show you, how to trade those two effectively. All right, so let's draw on our chart. Let's draw at 16, right? Now we know if they don't take 16 out, they are not heading down. Now, does that mean that on lightning 1 or 2, we couldn't have shorted this? Absolutely not, because they're more than likely would even be a short somewhere like this, say. Maybe this went straight up, or maybe at this angle or something like that. Could you actually still short this? And the answer is yes. But it's not a short trade. Now, I hope that makes sense because it basically means it's not a short trade because the chart has not changed, but it is a short trade, very possibly on a smaller chart. And the way you get that one is you simply draw your lightning. Well, let's draw lightning 2 from up here. That's fine. Let's draw it from down here. See if I can get it. All right. This is really close to midnight. So basically, this pretty much went short right there, didn't it, when it took out that swing? High, low, lower high, see, than that one. Lower low when it takes out that swing. So is that actually a short as far as lightning 2 is concerned? And the answer would be yes. Would the background be changed? No. Would the bar colors be changed? Probably not. Okay. So what you want to do if you want to trade really effectively and you want to even scalp, you can take some of these trades like this, and you would do that based on, more breaks, like breaks of trend lines and things like that. Okay. But let's talk about a little bit more of the KISS trades right now. And what I'll do is I'll go ahead and we'll go to the actual chart. Bear with me just one sec. Bear with me just 1 second here. Okay, this is a good one right here, as a matter of fact. What would you do if you saw this chart? Anybody? Some people are saying box it in, right? Okay. Well, you could box it, but where was the trade at? Where was the trade on this chart to begin with? It was here. Now, how would we have known that in real time? How would we have known, for instance, let's go back here just real quick. All right. If you had drawn lines on your chart, you would have drawn here for support, right? You would have drawn here for support that it cannot take out or it's not going to head up. Okay. Everybody sees that because that black chart was exactly the same thing as what we're seeing here. Okay. So when you're going to take a phantom trade, to give an example, okay, first off, you really want your trade basically with the little micro moves to quit stair stepping the direction it's stepping. Because remember, I told you just a few minutes ago, you could actually short this trade if you wanted to, but remember, I said that you did not have, anything like a red background or anything like that. So if you do want to take trades like that, you pretty much have to draw trend lines, and you're taking a little bit more chances on your trades. You'd more than likely see if you, for instance, shorted right here, you would have felt some heat and possibly even gotten stopped out. So that's a pretty risky trade, isn't it? Okay. But if you were waiting for it to start stair stepping back down, you have a high, you have a low, you have a lower high, you had a lower low on that candle right there. Okay. Everybody sees that? See how this is high, low, higher high, basically a little higher low, same high, higher low, little higher high, higher low or same low, higher high. But it didn't start stair stepping down until right here. Okay, everybody sees that? And you can see that by drawing lightning on your chart too. Let me see if I can draw lightning. It's not drawn as well because it's so close to midnight. Let's see if I can draw it from here. Yeah, pretty much when you broke that swing right there. Okay. Lewis says, I'm able to see micro much better since not using the lightning, but I'm glad lightning is available. Well, that's the thing. You know, what you want to do is you want to train your eye to actually see it. And you don't really need it as far as that goes, unless you just want to use it. But let's say that you had just gotten up and let's say, I don't know, maybe this is European time or something like that. Okay. But you happen to see this and you didn't get all this move. Okay. And you've been being taught, of course, that this is your low, this is your high up here. So you're not really looking for shorts until you take this out, right? Okay. So if you were looking at this in real time, you would be looking for the continued stair step down, right? Stair step down. See how it's still stair stepping down? But you're expecting it to not take out that low down there. Okay. Now this would be, and when I talk about kiss trading, like on a lightning 3 chart, usually you'll get within 1 or 2 ticks of that swing if they decide to totally come down and test it. So what I would do in a case like this, let's say I saw this right here, I would actually draw a line here because I would expect them possibly to bounce off of that. See how they thrust up above it? And that's a nice support level. This is even a nice support level. But notice that you don't get trapped into just jumping into this. Let's say you draw your line here for your kiss, and they come down and they test it, but then they go through it, and you're still heading south. Okay? You're okay not to take that trade, obviously, because if you had taken a mid-band trade, you would have just got whacked. But you never got a bar closing back up to begin with. Let's see, Gary, can you please explain what keeps you out of the minimum trade box? You're talking about like this right here, to give an example. This one right here. Well, actually, you know, that is a minimum criteria trade. You're absolutely right on that. So let's say that you took that trade, you know, well, here's resistance right here, just to give an example of a kiss. There's resistance right there, and it just kissed it. So I probably wouldn't take that trade until it took out that line, at least, myself, even though it closed above line 6. Because what you're really doing on that is you're boxing it in. You know, this is your lightning 1, and this is just simply a little resistance area on lightning 1, is all that is. But as you stair step down, you're getting ready to take the trade because you're expecting a phantom trade. And as a rule, I will take that trade at line 1 if it doesn't take this out. Now, I've been whacked before because when this came down like this, if I would have been up or trading at that time, I would have probably taken a line 1 trade and put my stop just under 16 if I could have done it quick enough. But what if it just cratered through it? It could have. But you usually do want to wait for the bar to close. So your fill would probably be around 47.23 or 4, something like that. Okay, so let's talk about little kiss trades now, and let's see if we can figure this out. We're going to go to, let's see first off if we can get a thrust of any kind. All right, now we're at a mid-band type trade. Aggressive traders are in down here at Phantom. What if you box this in and it doesn't go ahead and go up and start heading up, which it could do, by the way, because a lot of times you'll get a thrust, a retrace, a little thrust, retrace, you know, before it even heads up and everything, right? Okay, so let's see if you box this in. Let's just try it out. We'll get Object Trader. And we'll do it on a region. Now, where would you actually, if you were going to box this in, where would you box it in? Anybody? What do you think on that? And where would your stop be? Well, the way I'm seeing it right now, you have a low, You have a high, you have higher lows, see, than this. So if it breaks this, lightning 1 would actually be green, and it's actually green now because I've paused it, but that would have probably flipped over green when this bar closed. Yeah, just below midband, absolutely. So if you were to box this, just hit your little region like that, right? Now, since we're already out of this box, you could either redo your box like so and do it like a touch and see if you could get something. Now, where would your stop be? Anybody? Where would your stop be? Under the box or under the wick? Oh, I forgot to turn that on, didn't I? Let's just buy it anyway then. Okay, under the wick, right? Because if you put it under here, before it actually establishes itself, this is not an established swing. Now it's an established swing. See that? Okay, so what if you actually missed this trade? What would you think of a kiss trade? Okay, if I'm looking at this right, I'm seeing a little area that broke out. So don't you think it'll more than likely kiss this area right in here? That's what's called a kiss trade. Anytime you break above resistance and it pops up, it should pull back. And more than likely it will. Let's just see if it does. All right, we could even take off, since we got a scalp, we could sell one. That way we keep some profit, right? Okay. Now, if we keep our stop right here with exit on close, okay, we're still going to lose money on this trade or very possibly just break even. It looks like we got a 10 tick and we've only got $50. So if we go 10 ticks back, we're going to be down $50. Okay. Now, pretty much if you can't trade like that, you're not going to really make money to begin with because you have to learn to see the lightning on the chart to see that if it's going to head up, these areas are going to hold. Should we wait for the kiss as the higher probably? Well, Hardy, on your question, you can wait for the kiss trade, yes. What you can do a lot of times is buy out of the box. Let's just say that we want to go ahead and buy this kiss trade if it touches that box. Like, well, let's just let it touch it. All right, let's just let it touch that and see if we get it. I don't know if we will or not, but let's just check. They usually do. If it just blows up there, we'll still be okay too. We got one contract in. Do you wait for a touch of a box or a candle back up? Well, Brian, on your question, you can actually wait for the touch of the box and take the trade. Now, see, that's actually even kissed another line that I've got drawn. So now you have a high, you have a low, you have a higher high, right? Okay. So if they are going to hold on this trade, they're going to have to at least hold this secondary swing down here. So I would probably tighten my stop just a little bit like that with exit on close. Okay. Now, let's see if it does kiss. Didn't quite kiss it. It missed it by a tick, didn't it? So we're still in our trade and we haven't taken a kiss trade yet. Let's see, Gary, is that blue candle a high or low? This one is right here. Looks to be the same to me. Looks to be the same as that one to me. Okay, now on the left side of the chart, now keep in mind when you're looking at lightning 1, you're looking at what's considered a real minor type of lightning, okay? Which to me means, and I usually look at it this way, is that when I have a high here and a low here and a higher high because it closed above, that is a lightning 1 swing. That's my primary swing. But I look at lightning 1 with my secondary swing when I'm trading lightning 1. And the reason for that is because they will take this out a lot of times. You'll find that a lot, especially when they just barely take it out. Now, if they took it out with a vengeance, they won't take it out. Okay, but if they just barely close above it, let's just see if they do. I see it all the time. Let's just see if they take that out. They kissed another area. Now, by the way, we can't take any more profit because we're still in one contract, right? Now, if you were just trading for $100 bills and stuff like that, you could have taken that money, right? Because it kissed that swing there to the left. Okay, there we go. We just kissed. We just kissed. There's your secondary swing. Let's see if it holds. It held. See there? Secondary swing held. Okay, now I see that a lot of times when I'm trading, and if you draw lightning 2, let me just draw lightning 2. See, lightning 2 was pretty much, see where you had your high, your low, your high, your high, there's your secondary lightning right there. So it held. Secondary, as a rule, will hold. Now, would you have taken that, with most of you, with this being sideways, would you have taken that in 2 bites, 10 ticks, 10 ticks? You could do that also. But if you're going to do that, what I'd recommend is doing 2 contracts, getting 10 ticks, 2 contracts, getting 10 ticks, and then you'll miss a run. If it runs, we don't know for sure it's going to run, but it might. Okay. All right. So if you were trading this right now and you're seeing this chart, where would you see a kiss trade on this chart for the next time around? Let's see. Raymond says, I have a little confusion. How can you tell by looking at the bars which lightning it is? Well, Raymond, on your question, basically you have to have 2 bars up, 2 bar down to ever get lightning 2, where lightning 1, you really only have to have 1. It's pretty much just drawing with the bars, basically. But with lightning 2, you're having to have at least 2 bars to do it. So see, that's lightning 2 right there. Now, what I like to personally do, if I'm in this trade, see, we already flattened because we hit our targets while I was talking. But if you were still in this trade, where would your stop be on this trade? Well, this is a little low to me, but that is lightning. There it is now. So you'd put your stop just under here. Okay. Now, if this breaks what we call, consider your minor lightning, which it's doing right there. See how it did a high, a low, lower high, lower low? Okay. That's breaking minor lightning. Okay. Now, that's when you want to take that trade off the table. But where's our next trade on this chart? Anybody? What says the team? Well, draw on your charts. Let's see if we can figure it out. Let's matter of fact, let's look at the black chart and see if we can all figure it out. Because this gets a little more confusing if you're not really looking at charts all the time. You'll be able to see it a lot easier over here. Let me just get this other chart up and get rid of some lines. Bear with me a second. I'm going to remove the text on it so we can see on here. All right, let's look for a kiss trade. And I'm going to get rid of lightning 3. And I'm going to get rid of lightning 2, except we're going to go in more from right here on lightning 2. All right, so looking at this chart right now, what would you expect this to do? Okay, it's thrust up above resistance, which is now support. So you draw your line right there, right? Okay, let's draw lightning 1 and see where it's at. See if we can draw lightning 1. All right, so lightning 1 is right down here at 64. Okay, and lightning 2 is at 53. All right, judging by what I just said a few minutes ago, these are minor lightnings. So this is what I call my primary swing. See it right here? Primary swing, secondary swing. They more than likely will not take out that secondary swing if they're going to still head up. Okay? And they for sure won't take out this swing here because that's your lightning 3 swing. Okay, let's see what it did. We're not caring about trading as much as seeing kisses. I'll speed it up a little bit. Still stair stepping down, right? So you're not in it. Boxing it. Boxing it. You're in. And notice that that did not take out that swing. Okay? Now, if you're boxed, you might not have gotten in that one, but it looks like you are now. There's your low, a high, higher low, and a little higher high. So if you boxed it, you would actually be in that trade, and notice that it did not take out your secondary swing. Because what happens in these moves is when you get a swing, they'll usually do A, B, C. And then when they head down, they do the same type of thing, as a rule. And you can always look to the left to trade the right, and you'll see a lot better where the trade is actually going. Okay? Does that make sense to everybody? Because I want this to really make sense. I want everybody to understand that when you're talking about kiss trading and staying in trades, how you actually do that in real time. Okay? Where is your next kiss on this chart? Anybody? Well, let's draw it and see if we can figure it out again. I'll get rid of all the lightning. We don't know where it's going. But let's see if we can figure it out. All right, let's get rid of this line, and I'm going to draw some kiss areas on the chart. I always like to draw support. I always like to draw support when I'm above it, like that. So that's my support. That's my support right there. All right, now let's draw lightning 2. All right, there's where we are right this very moment, right now, okay? So where do you think more than likely, and by the way, you can draw it the other direction too. Let's draw it from here. All right, let's see. On this side, it looks like it's cratering through here, right? So where can it not take out and continue up? So we're in a possible trade zone right now, right? Yeah, 47.59, it cannot take out. Okay? You cannot take that out. Now you can take out the little micro supports and everything, okay? Now let's watch it just in real time, and let's see if that doesn't hold like we talked about there. This is definitely a good way to trade, I can tell you that. And by the way, you can clearly see, I think anyway, that if you hit these support levels and things, for instance, does anybody see more than likely, very possibly, that it just hit a phantom and bounced off of it? I bet it did, because I see the support level right here. They just barely took out. It rested on top of this swing, kiss trade. And if it doesn't take this out, right here, we're not really going to be heading up. We may be at the end of this run possibly, because you're looking at this type of thing. So you've had pretty good little move, haven't you, if you drew it? Let's just draw it and let's see what it does. You need to draw for me there. Why aren't you drawing? Okay, let's see. Retrace, thrust, retrace, thrust. Yeah, if they took out 69, or pardon me, 54, you would definitely not be heading up, would you? And it may even get higher than that. We're going to find out. Okay? Let's just let it run, and let's see if we can see where it's going and where it makes those nice major swings. Can't take out 54. There's 73. Can't take out 73 now without heading down. This is without prices on the chart. Now see, you're starting to stair step up a little bit. See how those areas like that hold really, really well if you draw your lines on your charts. Okay, 22 is the top on here, right? So let's draw a line up here at resistance. Now you can't take out 78 or even 88 actually. Still in an uptrend so far, right? Except for the fact that we could have gone sideways and possibly gotten a downtrend right in through here, when it came down this far. But as far as Lightning 3 is concerned, we haven't really broken down. All right, now notice that it took out the high. So what would it take to change this to very possibly the downside? You're heading down. Kiss. So would you take that trade to the downside? Yes. See it? Kiss. Now I've got this going too fast to trade. Got it going 300 times. But everybody see what I'm doing here, where you can absolutely tell where these things kiss and where support will hold and things like that, because it really, really works. Now, keep in mind that this is going on a very fast scale and everything. And by the way, we even traded this yesterday morning. Let me just show you the trade setups on the chart. What does this look like right here to anybody? Right here, we shorted this. Remember yesterday? I actually had a long from back here. I talked about it. Right here was a phantom. Got a really nice trade, right? Then here was our opening box. We shorted it. Okay. If you were just now getting in this setup right here, what would you have done here? Anybody? Well, at the open of the market, be careful with phantom type trades. And a lot of our people even trade this stealth at the open. But if this was to roll over, for instance, and you took out like line 2, see how it's trying to take out line 2? I'd usually wait for the close of the bar, but it is trying to take it out. I'd probably put my stop just above there. Let's see. Lewis says, I see 47.78 as minor support. Now, keep in mind that what you're wanting to really do is, first off, when you're trading these charts, you want to pretty much stay with the overall trend. If you're stair-stepping up on your mid-band, you're going to be stair-stepping up on your phantoms and everything, right? So you're really looking for mostly longs. Now, that does not mean, though, that when you see this happen, when they get around this mid-band, like at the open of the market, where to the left was our swing that's identified? Well, it's right here. So when it took that out, was it actually heading down? Yes. Okay, on the left of the chart. All right, and this just happened to be at the open, so we definitely called this short yesterday in the room. Okay, remember, I was just getting taken out of my long, though, at line 6, if I remember right. I don't remember exactly where it was taken out, but it was really close to that with the trend line. Okay, so let's see if we can together figure out the next trade. First off, I'm going to go ahead and do this, and let's do little kisses and everything, because I like to draw on my charts. Remember yesterday in the room, I drew a line right here at 95, wasn't it? 95 on the money. All right, notice that this is a high, this is a low, this is a higher high, but it's only higher by about 9 ticks. That's usually not an identified swing on the larger scale. Okay, does anybody remember where I actually talked about getting long on this chart? Because when you talk about kiss trading, you can actually also, if they take out like a resistance area that was support, you can also take those longs too. Okay. Because we had a lot of people that shorted this right here, based on looking to the left to trade the right and boxing it in, and got a really nice trade. I got stopped on my runner up in here, or on a trend line. Might have even been this trend line, possibly. I don't remember exactly. But that would have stopped you at the same spot. But keep in mind that I didn't go ahead and short mine. Okay. But also, when you look at this chart, you've got to also see that in the scheme of things, you had a high here, a low here, and even a higher high here. So this is your identified swing on what I consider to be your longer term trend. Okay. So if it does not take this out, you're going to more than likely be heading back up. And that's what I called in the room yesterday. I said that if they didn't stay below this support here, that more than likely we were just getting a short at the open, but we were going to actually head back up with oil. Okay. So if you were to take that trade, all right, and you don't want to take the chance of it actually just being, well, you got a red background, you got a magenta midband and everything. What trade could you actually take on this chart instead? Well, you could take a midband trade if it works out, right? You could take a phantom trade if it works out. All right. And if phantom actually pops up, rolls back down to midband and then bounces, you're going to be more than likely getting ready for longs. Now, let's look at this and see if we can figure out just right at where the KISS is going to be on this chart. Okay, let's speed it up. Breaks that trend line right through here, you're pretty much long. See it? Okay. You could be long. Now you could also be short at phantom. See this phantom right here? Everybody see that? Called that trade in the room yesterday too. It was a line 7 phantom. 10 ticks. Now what trade are you looking for? Anybody at all? Draw your lines on your chart, because this trade was called live in the room yesterday. Is this an identified swing based on what I've been teaching for the last little bit? No. It's identified, but just barely. Now, in the sense of it being identified with a closed bar, yes, it is. But in the sense of it being identified by really taking out the swing, no. And that's what you got to really tune yourself to see, because if you looked at this on a larger chart, that's probably a double top with a wick. More than likely, it was just a little double top with a wick. Okay. So you got to be careful, because they're not necessarily shorting this when they take this out, unless this is what they would do. They would take this out. They would then come back and do what I've been teaching this morning. They would kiss it, and then they would roll over. Okay. Or they're going to come down. You got to draw on your charts. See, there's a swing right across here on your left. There's a swing right across. Well, we've already got that one right there. So then there's a swing right here. That's the same swing as that. So that doesn't count anymore, right? Because that's already been drawn. Okay. So if they bounce off of this line right here, which would be a KISS trade, then I would be ready actually to take a long on that. And in the room on Friday, Charles and I talked about boxing this little trade in, remember? So you simply hit your insert key. I usually like to go look to the left to trade the right. There's a swing right there. Like so. And then if this comes down further, I'll bring my box down. Okay, and that's the way you would actually trade that. Because if you don't do it that way, you're going to get wicked into these where they're just doing an A, a B, and a C, because they'll usually do an ABC to begin with on most trades. And you want to be careful not just getting sucked into a quick trade. See how it just kissed that resistance there? Just kissing it right there where I got the top of the box drawn. Okay. And you want to see if it rejects it. See, we got it drawn as a kiss, barely taking it out. And then I would probably turn this on now, because I want to see if, now granted, it could have just popped right through it and you have to hit a market order. Okay. But if you're trading this, you really wanted to get in as close to this as possible to begin with. Okay. So usually as a rule, I would click 1, where it just kissed that area right there, but I have not kissed here yet. This is this swing over here to the left. See that? That's a lightning 3 swing. And it's the same as this little micro swing here too within a tick. See it right here? Little micro swing. All right. So I'm expecting it to kiss that. Okay. Now in the new Object Trader 8, I'm hoping to do this. I want to be able to draw a region like this. I also want to be able to draw a trend line, and I want to be able to take both trades. I actually want to be able to take this trade here, and I also want to be able to take that trend line trade, and even the box as far as that goes if I want to. I want to be able to actually say, okay, I want a region trade and I want a trend line trade. Okay. And that's what I'm trying to head for on Ninja 8. All right. But right now we're just dilly-dallying around. It's at the open, so our box is still clearly drawn, right? Okay, let's see. In an either or trade, how do you pick correctly before trade escapes, Robert? Well, what you really want to do is, if you draw on your charts, I still consider this definitely a support level. See where it took this out, low, higher high? That is an identified swing. But I also look at it like it's barely identified, because when you're stair stepping, you're going to see that when you get a low, you're going to get a higher high. You're going to get a higher low. You're going to get a higher high. When they barely take these out like that, they usually don't respect that, but then they'll come below it. They'll pop back above it, something like that. And you can actually add to your trade just like that. See there where it went back above resistance? And we talked about that on Friday even. Because when they just barely take it out, you're boxing in at mid-band like that. Okay? But I always look to the left to trade the right, and I can definitely see where swings are. I draw my little lines on my charts. Because if you do draw your lines on your charts, you'll see that they come really close to those kisses. Now, are they exactly accurate? No, and that's why we box and we draw trend lines too. Okay? But does anybody remember where this trade went yesterday? Always draw on your charts. Remember, we even drew a trend line on the chart. We also drew this. We said, okay, this thing had been up mightily. So you had a thrust, retrace. Let's see, thrust, retrace, thrust, retrace. So that's leg 1, leg 2, not leg 3, right? So that's leg 1, leg 2, leg 3. And then not right here. So basically you could say, if this was to do this trade again, you would get from here to here, like so, from here. And draw your lines on your charts again. Now, these are just examples of where they might go, but you've always got to watch it just to make sure, is it actually going to take out the swing to begin with? Because that's extremely important that it does. If it does do that, then you can pretty much count on it hitting your lines that you draw on your charts. Okay, where have we got that line drawn at? 48 what? 49.14. Did it get there yesterday? Does anybody know? Did it take a little while? Now, I'm not talking about it before taking you out of a trade and getting into another one. That's just an area that you'd be shooting for. Okay, so if you were trading this right now, okay, and you happen to have missed that trade right there, where would a KISS trade be on this chart? Anybody? Because I see it already. See your little support level right here? That's now, that should actually pop up above here, pull back into it. Now, you don't want to take it right off the bat because it's not a KISS yet. Okay, so let's see if we can get a little KISS. It's got a thrust up. There's a KISS of the box. Bet it kisses right there. Did it kiss there? No, came close. Came really close. That was a runner, wasn't it? But notice how close it did come. If you look to the left to trade the right, on the very left, it did not check that one. But on the left, as far as price was concerned, higher, it did kiss that one. See there? Just wicked it, and the body of it held above it. So that's why you'll see in the room, I'll draw 2 lines on the charts as a rule. Because when you're looking at micro type moves, you pretty much have to draw 2 lines on your charts. All right. Now, what if you had missed this trade right here? Could you draw on your charts and see if you could get another trade? Well, so far, I see, looking to the left, 36. I see 44. See those swings? I see a predictor right here saying, no, it's going to come to 46 instead of 44. So let's say if you weren't even in this trade, let's just see if it'll work. Predictor. We'll turn on predictor. We'll do it require trend. And we'll do it long. And we'll do a touch +2. And we'll see if we can get a predictor trade. Now keep in mind, like a predictor trade is just like a region box. All that's got to do is come within 2 ticks at the top of that predictor and come back up a tick, and it will fire that trade, or it should. Did it come within 2 yet? Looks like might be. Not just yet. Now if it goes past this predictor, it will not take this predictor. Okay? Now usually what I do is I have my hand set on this right here. If it tags that line, I will probably buy that trade, but I'd more than likely do it with 1 contract. Because that is a KISS trade if it comes down there and kisses that predictor and this swing right here. That looks like it to me. See that bar closed up? I'd probably take a chance on it, put my stop like that, and go. Okay? Because that's as close to a KISS as a lot of times they won't come except within about 2 or 3 ticks. They don't always hit them on the money. Let's see, above question is a reminder for today's webinar. Let me see, Lewis. Can you show us how you make those legs with the big boxes and how you implement it on the chart? I'm not following the legs part of it. See if you can clarify that, Lewis. I'm not sure exactly what that is. Now, if you're more of a conservative trader, does anybody see a trade here also? How about a trend line? Already missed it, I think, but I'll take it simply because it broke my trend line. Okay, see that little trend line that I just drew there? Now that's a tight trend line, but it's still a high, a low, a lower high, and a little lower low, and breaking a trend line. If you wanted a more conservative trend line, you would do it like this. And it's still breaking it, or at least it's trying to right there, see? This means leg 1, leg 2, leg 3, big boxes. Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, yeah, yeah. Well, let's see if this one works first. I've got it already drawn. Let's just fast forward this and see if it works. And I'll show you how to draw those. It looks like that might stop us out. Nope, didn't get us. Now that's where my identified swing is. If I want to hold, now keep in mind you probably wouldn't hold this with oil, but I'm doing this really fast. Just wicked it. See there? Kiss trade. Kiss trade. A little higher low. And stopped us out. Is there a phantom trade here? Anybody? Right across there. See if we get anything. That's phantom. Got a phantom. And where was our line at? 49.14, wasn't it? That's where I drew that big box. Now keep in mind they can go through that, so you don't have to, let it literally stop there. But let's just see. Let's just write our runner. We'll put our top at 14 like I drew. And we'll see if we can get the rest of this trade. There you go. See how resistance is holding? Resistance held. There's another phantom trade, 10 ticks. Now see, this is oil inventory, so you would have not been in that to begin with. But see how that just took out support right there and that turned red? Now, where's the kiss trade on this particular? See how it just kissed that line right there? Now, keep in mind, that's right at the opening of oil, so you probably wouldn't have taken that. All right, what's that right there? It's setting up for a long, isn't it? See it bounce off a mid-band, just like we teach. Just like we teach. Now, could you have taken this trade based on what I've been teaching for the last almost an hour now? So let's look to the left to see if it kissed. You had a thrust up, right? So you had your first thrust. It came back, and if you look at this, you had a thrust, retrace, thrust, like so. So if you drew on your chart, like right across this area right here, it definitely kissed it, right? This was your low. It didn't take it out. So it was definitely trying to head up when it didn't take that out, right? So you look at the top of the thing and it kissed it. It did more than kissing it, but that was right after inventory. And then it didn't take this out, so you did expect it to head up. If it does take this out right here, guess what? It'll be heading down because you have a high, you have a low, you have a higher high. Looking to the left to trade the right. They're trying to take it down. They had a huge thrust down, lower high. Could they take that out? If they did, you'd probably head down. Let's see if they did. If not, we would be looking for a phantom, but not this phantom here if it takes out this line, unless we box it. See there? It broke the line. Kissed it. There's your kiss. There's your roll. See there? That's how we draw in that room. So we would have shorted that trade right there at that line and would still be short. We'd probably put our stop right here. That's our secondary swing. See how it takes out the primary? As soon as it takes out that low, if it does, there you go. Now that's your swing. That's your primary. That's your secondary. Now that's your secondary. See it? primary, secondary. Primary gets taken out. Secondary gets kissed. And down she goes again. See how kiss trading can work? Now, I didn't want to just go ahead and trade that. I wanted to show you in real time how you can actually draw your lines on your charts and see that. Now, keep in mind what I was talking about earlier. Primary swings get taken out. See that primary swing there? It gets taken out. Secondary swing did not get taken out. That's just something that I've seen on charts for the last 10 years. Is it a rule of some kind? Well, it works. So I consider it a pretty good rule. It's just like here, thrust, retrace, like a thrust. You really didn't have anything but like a thrust, retrace, thrust pretty much here. Okay, so that secondary swing held and it took it up. Let's see if it worked here. This is a little more minor, so you have a low, a high. I don't consider that like a swing unless you get at least a couple of bars. So it did come back and kiss it though. See it right there? And then rolled over. They're always looking at these swings. So by looking at what we just looked at, where could you put your stop on this chart? What do you think? If you look to the left to trade the right, where would you put your stop on this chart? Kiss roll. All right, that was primary. That was secondary up here, so it didn't take it out. Let's see if we can get a little movement down. So you have a high here, a low here, lower high, but not now you have a lower low. So that's your primary right here. As it stair steps, okay? Thrust, retrace, thrust. That's your primary. Now it's your secondary. Now that's your primary. Secondary, primary. And could you absolutely stay in a trade? Look at that thing drop, for crying out loud. Anybody trade that after the room closed, by the way? So where could you keep your stop in a case like this? Well, you've got a secondary, you got a primary, right? That's your secondary, that's your primary. Could you stay with that trade as long as that's not taken out? There you go. Hardy said, I did. Been listening to those webinars. Did that go ahead and do another leg down? I don't know. We'll find out. Where would it change trends if it decided to change trends? You got to look at Lightning 3. Now, Lightning 3 right now says it would be way up here. That's now. Now, if this dilly-dallies around and makes another swing, then you could pretty much count on the fact if that number changes, that Lightning could be heading up if it happens, because that's pretty major swings. Let's see if it does. There's your secondary. Just kissed it. Keep going. Let's see what we get. There's at least 15 bars or so. Now on a 15 bar, it's got to be like, what you're looking at when they're doing these larger swings, that's looking at a 4-range 15 swing strength. Okay. And if you just get a few on swing, see, there's your swing now. See your low, your high or low so far. If it takes it out, this is actually now your Lightning 3 swing. So if you were trading this and you decided that you wanted to, right now you're short, obviously, right? Here's your secondary swing. Almost. It's actually right here. Just took out our secondary swing. You're out. Everybody see that? Now, what if you decided, well, you know what? This looks like this might be heading up instead of down. Where did it kiss? Right on top of that swing. So could you actually have taken that trade long when it kissed that? Yes. Now, that is also a phantom, but when they take out lightning threes with a vengeance like that, you got to watch it because this is more than likely a trend change. I don't know it was for sure, but it looks like it might be. So if you were trading this, let's slow this down for just a minute. You need a higher low to take this trade, right? Well, if they take out this swing, could you actually take a shot at this trade? That's a higher low. It took out a swing to the left. So that's actually a high, a low, a higher high, came down, took out my swing again, and I just got long. Okay. Now, looking to the left to trade the right, you got resistance here, you got resistance here, and you got some resistance here drawn on your chart. So I'd probably put one target there. And let's see if this worked out. Otherwise, we'll get stopped out, and that's fine too. Higher low, higher lows, higher lows, higher lows. Everybody see that? Now, I'm pretty sure Charles taught this webinar on Thursday night. By the way, that was a kiss trade too. See it? Came right down to a previous, that was resistance earlier, that became support, and it bounced off of it. And our predictor picked it out too. Okay? Now let's go over just real quick, and then I'll wrap because we're running a little bit late. Let's close this out. We don't care. All right, let's look and see. What do you think, to give an example, where do you think this particular trade would be heading based on the way I teach that with 100% thrusts and retraces? Anybody? But keep in mind, when you do draw those, they also have to take out the previous swing to the left. Okay, let's look over here, for instance, on this short trend that happened just earlier. High, low, lower high. That looks like that was about two times, because this would have been your thrust. This would have been your retrace. So, you know, leg one, leg two, leg three would simply be like this. And see that hit that line right there. Notice they did bounce a little bit off of it. But then this one actually ended up going ahead and doing another full one, almost a full one. See there, that's probably like 1.61, maybe a little bit more than that. So that's the way you draw that, Lewis. You know, this one, because of oil inventory, you notice that it actually still headed down further than just that one time. Okay, but when you draw on your charts, what you're actually looking for is you're always looking for the larger swing. Let's go ahead and go over here. All right, like right here, to give an example, this is pretty much a low, a high, and a lower low, so that was a downtrend. So now you have a high, a low, and a higher high, right? All right, so if you draw this from here to the good retrace, that's usually about 50 to 61%, that would be where you would be expecting the trade to be a 100% move right there. Now, does that mean you have to take it off the table? No. No, because as long as they're stair-stepping up, you can stay with the trade. There's no question about that. Look at this one here. You had thrust to here, then they came back. Let's see if this worked from here to here. Didn't quite get up there, did it? So it's not exactly, but did you notice that 49.14 that I drew came within 8 ticks of it and then took it down? So they do work, but anytime you draw them, realize that, you know, they're basically fib extensions is what they are. And anytime you get a leg one type trade, let me just go to this chart real quick, and I'll get rid of get us some dark space right here. When you're looking at that type of a trade, you're basically looking for a thrust. You're looking for a retrace. And usually on your retrace, if it's the larger ones, you're going to be right around this 50 to 61%. You'll never take out the low if they're going to head up. And then you can calculate this next move by this move right here. So the way you do that is you just simply draw a box. And then when you get your low and you start stair stepping back up, you know that's your low, and you'd know that that would be where you'd want to take some of your profit right across here. Okay. So then when it gets there, as a good trader, you're actually watching it here, but you're also letting it do a little stair step below it, stair step, and then blow it out too. Okay. Because you could still draw your trend lines and things like that, because this could easily be a leg 1, leg 2, and then a leg 3 could literally be even something like that, because leg 3s can actually be one time. They can be 1.61, 2.61, 3.61, and there's not really a set way that they do that. But what I see more than not with 4-range charts is they'll do a 100% move and we take some coin. It doesn't mean we take our trade off the table, but we take some coin at those type moves like that. Okay. Now, if I was trading this particular chart right here, let's pretend this is a real chart. I would be looking for a kiss trade somewhere right in here to here. And you could probably count on the fact that they would do that. Because, see, this is your low here. This is where they pretty much stop. So if they did thrust above it, you'd expect them to kiss here or here. And this is not even a real chart, but if it was, that's pretty much where you'd be putting your trade in. And I'll bet you that it'd be right around mid-band. Matter of fact, you can tell by looking at it, it's right around mid-band. See, because midway from between here and here is right in through here. Okay. I hope this didn't come out any confusing at all, because I didn't want it to. Because basically, when you talk about kiss trades, you are looking at all 4 of your swings. The most important ones, though, keep in mind, are these lightning 3s. Because when they hit their head, just to give an example, see, I nailed this trade just a few minutes ago simply because I was watching this. I had a low, I had a high that was established with that text there, which meant it was a lightning 3 swing. So when it took that out, I was pretty much expecting it to head up. Okay. But you don't have to take it right off the bat. You could box it. If it went up to phantom, now keep in mind, if they break these lightning 3s, as a rule, those phantoms aren't going to work. So here's an example right here. High, low, higher, high. There's your support. Notice your phantom didn't work. See there? If they barely take it out, like just barely, and then they start stair-stepping back up, they'll more than likely head up. But when they take out these lightning 3s, they're changing trends as a rule. Okay? Now, if this would have not done what I wanted it to do, you could have had it boxed either direction. At the time this was doing this right here, you could have simply boxed this like this. You could have said, okay, if you're going to head up, then you're going to have to look to the left, and I see a swing right across here. And I'm looking to the left, and I see this swing right here that they've tested. They haven't tested this one right here, like so. So I'd pretty much draw my box like that, and then if they did decide to head down, they would take out my box and head down. Okay. You could also draw a trend line also. See how you had a thrust, retrace, you draw your trend line along those lows like that. And then when this actually did that, you bring your trend line up like this instead, like so. And you didn't go ahead and short. Okay. Now you would have might through here. Okay. And if that faked you at all, you could pretty much tell you were getting higher lows and higher highs by then, and you broke lightning 3. So that turned out to be a decent little trade, actually, didn't it? Okay. But learn to see these trades on your chart, and they'll make a world of difference in your trading. Now, will they be exactly exact? No. If they were, I could sit here and teach people to trade the futures markets and be successful on every single trade. Okay. But I think that when we hit 85 and even above 90 on our trade calls in the room, though, that's pretty darn good. Okay. I think that's real good. If you were looking at this chart right now, where's Lightning 3 forming on the chart? So would that phantom work out? Probably not. Now, it may be higher when they do it, and that phantom may work out, but let's just check it and see. I'll speed it up. Phantom's not going to work, I'll bet you. Why'd that phantom not work, anybody? Because it took out Lightning 3. That's pretty much how you can tell when a phantom will work or not work. And if you were actually trading this by drawing like a trend line along here, you would have never gotten that trade anyway, except maybe right through here, and then your background had changed red, so you wouldn't have taken it. Okay? I hope this helped everybody. I will post this in just a little bit. And learn to see on your charts, draw on your charts, and you'll be pretty amazed. Now, is this a good phantom trade? Anybody? Let's just try it. If it doesn't take out 12 and rolls down, I'll take it. Let's just take it for 10 ticks, just for the fun of it. Lightning 3, low, high, lower, low. What do you think? I'm going to go ahead and short. Well, I shorted 2. I meant short 1. And I'll go ahead and go down to mid-band. All right. And I've got my Lightning 3 right there. And if they roll over, I'm going to add 1 more. Now, that's because it's not breaking Lightning 3. See how that's still a high, low, lower, high, lower, low? Same high as that one. That's a kiss trade. And it looks like that one's going to work. That is a true phantom trade in my book because it didn't take out Lightning 3. Now, if they barely take out Lightning 3, but they don't take out the top of this, you can still take that trade if it rolls back through that line. Okay. Oh, you could absolutely do a box also. But what I did is I shorted resistance. Okay. And you could easily have your hand on the close trigger just in case it decided to pop up through there. Okay. But to me, that's a legitimate phantom because you definitely did not take out resistance. Okay. Now notice over here that you did take out resistance. So you had your low, your high, lower low by several ticks. So that's a legitimate Lightning 3 right across here. So when it takes that out, you're not doing that phantom. Okay. Now in hindsight, obviously you'd say, well, wait a minute, look, that phantom, there's a phantom right there. Gary said, take those. Well, not if they take out Lightning 3 like that, because that's no longer heading down. That's actually heading up. Okay. Hope everybody got something out of this. If you learn to see these trades, kiss trades are all over the place. See that kiss trade right there? Kiss trade right there. See it? Thrust, retrace. Down it goes. Kiss trade right here. Down it goes. They're all over the place. Okay? And by the way, keep in mind, even if you don't learn all of these trades, just learn to see where you should take a phantom and should not take a phantom. Okay. And also where you should and should not take a mid-band trade. Don't take a mid-band trade if you get up in the morning and you're nothing but chop. Okay. Where you want that mid-band trade is when it's gone from one trend and it's going to start to the other one. That's a good trade right through there on a mid-band. But if they're on choppy, sideways, junky garbage, you're going to trade the bottoms and sell the tops. Okay. I hope this helped everybody out. And keep in mind that we don't trade clear into these hours here, but in the room yesterday, that trade was called in real time at that area right there. Matter of fact, it was called at 12, if I remember right. The line's at 13, but it was called at 12, which was the mid-band, or 11. And look at that trade. One trade and you're done for the day. Then that trade was called in real time. You're definitely done for the day. Was this a phantom by just what I taught? Now keep in mind this is pretty close to inventory, but is that a phantom right there when it takes out lightning 3? Nope. Is this one here? Now this is taking out lightning 3 here, but keep in mind this was right after the oil inventory, but it did take out lightning 3. So would you have taken this phantom here? Probably not, but you might have if you did a trend line and gotten a scalp. But that's a little iffy because look what it did instead. Went up. I could tell it was doing that by, pull it back in and takes off. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Hope you have a great day. Have a great weekend. And we'll do this on Monday. And there's bound to be some more volatility. The government's still shut down. And the moment it opens, watch the markets. All right. Let's see. Brian said, I thought you needed 10 ticks for an L3 swing to be ID'd. Well, Brian, on your question, I like anywhere from 7, 8, 9, 10, something like that even. But even when you take a trade like that, you can put a tight stop to begin with because, see, this one was 71 to 64. That's 7 ticks. That's a little iffy, but you could also see, if you were trading short, that a trend line was even broken. And and by the way, stealth turned green, it started heading up. So those are good to get into. You could even draw your trend line along in here and see it even broke that one. So it was pretty much heading up when it broke that trend line. All right. Thanks, everybody. Hope you draw on your charts. Jack says, Gary, how do you draw the proper box at 920, please, before the big pop up? 920. Oh, this one right here? I called this trade at line 2 yesterday, right here on Phantom. I said we were getting a Phantom trade, and that's exactly the way you could draw that box. Now, if you're an aggressive trader, you wait for it to close below line 2, which it did, and then you box it in. And at the time, let's say that you were looking at like this. All right, that's what was happening at the time. It hadn't closed below. Let's see if it closed below there. Okay, it closed on it, closed above it, up, down. That's when it closed above it, right on this bar right here. And could you have boxed it right across there? And you put your stop underneath here, under the box. Yeah, see, and it got even a higher low. So definitely a good box. Now, if you're not quite as boxy as that, but I like that box myself because I was even saying in the room yesterday, we got a little high, a little higher low, and the moment it broke that box, you took it. But we did feel some heat. You got to put that stop under the box. All right. But then after that little bit of heat, look at that. All right. Again, we'll see you on Monday. Thanks, everybody. And if anybody has any questions on any of this, give me a shout. I'll be at the phone. Bye, everyone.